Oh, they're all coming on.
Hey, good afternoon. It's the retail crew from around the planet. So cool. Um, so there's a lot of people joining today. We had a huge sign up compared to the last one, which is awesome. So if you guys, as you join, you're actually on mute, just because it keeps the less static down. I know that you're all doing calls with your teams and all that kind of stuff, so I guess you'll appreciate this. And it is our second coffee chat. I've got my coffee. I'm drinking Me to We coffee because I support the cause. I can see Solange with her coffee. Awesome. And your question mark. So super excited, really happy to connect everybody. Hopefully we'll have a few laughs, we'll have a bit of fun, we'll get inspired and just connect. And I had to step it up today and put my makeup on because I've got my really great friend who works at MAC Cosmetics, Elise Tremblay, on the coffee chat today.
Hi.
Hey. So yeah, I was like, okay, which MAC lipstick am I putting on today? I had to do that's the right one. And I think you might have given this to me. So
I hope so.
Having you as my friend is I get amazing MAC lipsticks every year on my birthday.
I'm always putting lip product on, always.
Oh, I love it. So, all right, awesome. So we have a big bunch of people on today, and some of you were here last week. So if you were here last week, thank you for returning this week and joining our coffee chat again. Really, the intention behind this is just to stay connected. Some of you are still working, some of you are having connected chats with your team every day, and some of you are not. And I can see New York in the background. That's so cool. So yeah, it's just really, just to come together as a retail community. And I thought it would be really awesome to take this time and kind of like chat about retail, get outside of your own four walls and connect with different people in the industry. So that's what we're here to do. And, you know, I'm so thrilled to have Elise on because we've known each other, how long have we known each other now?
I don't know, like a long time though, like 10 years?
Yeah, probably about 10 years, right?
Yeah, maybe more.
Yeah, and we got introduced I've never worked with you, but I would have loved to work with you. We always talked about doing events together when I was at David's Tea with the Read My Lips David's Tea, but that didn't happen, you know?
Yeah.
But Elise, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your retail journey, because I know it's really nice for people to hear each other's journey in retail because it's so inspiring and motivating, and it's just interesting. It's fascinating. So you can tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, and your retail journey.
Well, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure to meet you all in this forum. Well, my name is Elise Tremblay, as April mentioned. I am based here in Toronto, and I work for MAC Cosmetics as the manager of retail events. My retail journey started when I was 14 years old, actually. I worked at Wendy's. That was my first retail job, so food retail. And it just kind of spiraled into so many different things. And I worked in clothing retail and makeup retail. So I've had a really interesting journey. I've always sort of been in the corporate world as well. And you know, all of that sort of led me into where I am today, which I love so much. I have a dream job. I get to do retail events, and I get to help motivate and inspire retail makeup artists at MAC Cosmetics all across Canada. We have over, I'm not even sure where we're at now because we're in a few Sephora locations where we also do some pretty big events. And we're in HBC, Nordstrom, and we have our own freestanding stores. So there are so many makeup artists that I get to interact with and inspire, and I love it so much. Like, you know, we're not saving the world by any means. We're selling lipstick, but there are really great ways to interact with your customers that are coming into your store and give them a really fun experience. And I think that that's one of the things I love so much about my job, is that I get to be that person to create this fun. I mean, I work with my North America team. We have an office in New York. And, you know, obviously they are so involved with everything and I just take their guidance. But, you know, if you're from Canada or like working within Canada, you know that we are a different type of shopper. We have a different type of dynamic here, and we just kind of want different things. I think Canadians speak to each other in a different way than Americans do. I've spent some time in the States, like, you know, visiting family or traveling, and it's a very different, I feel, you know, between the US and Canada. And that's one thing I also love about my job, is that I work with this amazing team of people and we all get to collaborate and talk about that. And, you know, Mac was born in Canada. I don't know if you guys know that. It was born here in Toronto, actually. And so, you know, we're like so proud. We're so Canadian proud of that. But, you know, again, just sort of inspiring our makeup artists and being able to figure out what our Canadian clientele really wants. And I get to do that through doing retail events. It's awesome.
That's amazing. So every week now we have this, if you ever worked with me or you've been on my team, I love asking questions. I think part of being a great leader is learning how to ask really great questions. And it's a skill, right? Sometimes we go about our day and we're just doing things. And so I always have these like games and stuff. So I'm always gonna share something that can kind of add value to you guys for when you go back. So these We Connect cards, I don't know if any of you have seen these before, but they're amazing. Last week we did We're Not Really Strangers. This week we're doing We Connect. And so there's a whole load of question cards so that you get to ask, and they're really great for meetings, especially now in this time where it's like how to connect with people and find out different things. So I did send Elise a few different questions. So we're gonna just start, before we get into more stuff about you, with asking each other a question.
Okay.
So go ahead, what's your question?
My question to you?
Yeah.
Okay. I do like this game. I couldn't decide between the questions because I thought, I do know a lot of things about you. So my question to you is, what are people usually surprised to find out about you?
That's a really great question. And most people, some people do know me, but even people that have known me for a long time would be surprised to know that I'm an identical twin. There is another one of me in the UK that actually, if you Google her name, Jody Sobral, same last name, Jody, you'll go, oh my God, there's somebody with long blonde hair that looks just like April. And she's had a successful career. She's an author and she's worked in the BBC and news and everything for a long time. So I think people are surprised by that because they don't really talk about it. Okay, my question, Elise, is what is one thing life is teaching you right now?
Ooh. I mean, we're all going through it, right?
Yeah.
I am on a roller coaster, I think, of emotion sometimes. Oh, I just saw Deidre come on. Hi, Deidre. Actually, I just had a chat with Deidre also yesterday. She's also a mutual friend of April and I. And we used to work together at a different company. And I cried so much yesterday on the phone. I was like in a roller coaster of emotions. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are feeling the same thing, you know. But I think one thing that life is teaching me right now is how to be patient and how to stay positive. And I appreciate my crew and my people so much to sort of get me through those rough times and those bad days. Some wake up and I think I can conquer the world. And some days I wake up and I don't get dressed. So staying positive and just knowing that we're all in this together and that we're all going to come out of it, and that I do still get to work from home and make plans for, you know, a better future when we get to reopen all of our retail environments.
Which is going to happen, right? Like, it
Oh,
is
yeah.
gonna happen. People now need to go into, I just read an amazing article on LinkedIn from Calvin, CEO of Lululemon. Don't know if you guys read it. I think he posted it yesterday. He talked about the 3 things. So if you haven't read it, go onto his page and read it. He talks about the 3 things that they're focused on at Lululemon and how they've shifted from like, you know, what happened to like going into opening mode and like restart mode. Because I think right now that's and he does talk about people that were just focused on like saving themselves and this and that, kind of that fear structure versus like, okay, we're going to open, things are going to be different, but we need to shift into that mode. And
Yeah.
so his article has, I love it because I like things that are very actionable and you can take away. And he has 3 things, 3 pieces of the strategy that they're working on that can be applied anywhere. That's awesome. I mean, I could apply it in my own business, my life. So I think, you know, I think you're bang on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got some questions I want to ask you. So why did you choose retail as a career, or did it choose you?
That's amazing. Well, here's the thing. So I told you that my retail journey started in food retail at Wendy's. So that was like my high school job. And I got the best training there that I didn't even realize. You know what I mean? I was 14. I had just started high school. I'm in grade 9. I'm like meeting new friends, new people. And, you know, I wanted a part-time job. My friend worked there, you know, all those things. But it just gave me so much to continue on to other things. So from there, I ended up working at I'm from London, Ontario originally. It's about 2 hours west from Toronto. And I ended up moving, you know, like through high school, you get older and stuff. You don't want to be in the fast food industry anymore. And I ended up getting a job at a gourmet food cafe called Sebastian's. And I worked there for 7 years. And the reason I was hired there was, yeah, it was a long time. The current manager of that cafe had worked at a Wendy's. He had been a manager, and he knew that I had exceptional customer service training through Wendy's. And so he knew I would be a great employee. So he hired me on, and then we just had the best relationship. I ended up managing the whole place. You know, it was just one of those things that I grew within that organization, and it was so lovely. You know, like the same families would come in. My family, you know, would go there every weekend, get bagels for breakfast. We had an after church crowd. Like, it was just this beautiful, like, community of people. And then I think as, you know, within retail, you get to make those connections, relationships, experiences. And it was so wonderful. It was like such a great bond. And that really shaped me into, you know, continuing to move forward. So from there, I was in college. I actually went to college for fashion merchandising and felt I needed to get into retail, you know, just to be able to continue to move on with that. And so I would have to say,
it chose you.
It chose me. It chose me for sure, because felt so great being in that world and being in that environment. It just made sense. I didn't even question it. You know, I didn't say, oh, I'd love to go work into retail or whatever it was. Like, when I was little, I wanted to be a waitress when I grew up. But I've never been a waitress. So this food cafe, we did not serve tables, you know.
That's
but
amazing.
It chose me.
So it chose you, which it chose a lot of us. Some of us did it until we were going to figure out what we were supposed to do. And somebody was just messaging me through LinkedIn and was like, how did you, you know, how do you own your own company? I'm like, I just don't know how that happened. It just kind of a series of events and helpful people and good karma, hopefully, you know. But there's a lot of, the one thing I love about us all being on here today and you know, we could spend 4 hours together really talking and sharing retail stories because there's so many of them, right? And I met my friend 20 years ago in retail. She was my boss. And I've met some of you on the screen just through our love of connection of retail. So what's like, can you share, what's a really memorable moment for you in your retail?
Oh man, that's a really great question because I work for a really fabulous company and a really great brand. MAC Cosmetics is, you know, known for kind of doing a little bit of outrageous things. And part of that is the retail events that I am able to put on in our stores. So some really great moments I've had. I've been able to work with drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race TV show. You know, that's been super fun. Last year, we worked with Brooklyn Heights, who was the first Canadian that was ever on the show. And we had her in 2 of our retail stores during the Pride season. You know, so it's just like fun and a little bit like kooky and but great.
You've done so many events, right? Like I look at the events and the stuff that you do. If you had to give somebody some advice on events, and it's interesting, we were talking about this yesterday, like what the world of events could look like coming out of this. You know, like big social gatherings, trying to get people and traffic in stores and things like that. But what's one thing that you've really learned through your career that if you were going to give somebody advice, another person or like a peer that works in retail, what advice would you give them to make sure that they're having a successful event? Like, what would you say?
Well, so like, it's interesting because I have had a really interesting career in terms of working in retail part-time while having a corporate job. So when I moved to Toronto, you know, I had to get a corporate job because, you know, it's expensive here. And I actually worked in finance and I worked at a law firm and then I went to makeup school, right? And then from there, I got a job at MAC Cosmetics and it was part-time. And now that I work for MAC in head office in a completely different role, I think something that I think about a lot is what if my path were different? So I didn't pay enough attention, I think, while I was in the retail, like in the stores, to how everything worked logistically with, you know, the sales managers and, you know, like now that I'm in head office and I see how we communicate with our stores, I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention while I was an artist, because I feel like my path could have been a little bit different and I could have done different things, right? So you look for different opportunities and ways to grow within the company, because I really do love MAC and I feel like it's my home and it's where I belong. And, you know, it could have been so different. Not that I don't love like where I am now. Right. I mean, I get paid to.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, that's always the struggle, right? Like knowing how the stores run and what's going on in the stores.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing, I know Ron's on the call and he had shared with me when I was in New York that he spends so much time in the stores, which is the right thing to do, right? Because then you know exactly what's going on. And I think coming out of this post, because we are going to come out of it, it's really, that could be one kind of takeaway. It's like, if everybody comes back, imagine you're walking into a new business and you go and spend, I know there's going to be a lot of catch up of work to do and hiring and all this stuff, but maybe, you know, having those partners come into the stores and really understand what's going to be different and how we're going to have to function different so that we can, you know, it's like when you open a new brand or a new store. I've been part of opening companies and you go in and you spend that time so you really understand what the customer wants. I think we're all going to have to do that. I think it was always important, but I think even more post is going to be even more important because we don't know how the customers are going to respond and react, right, when we get back to this. So what are some things that you guys are considering doing operationally differently? Because I know we're all thinking about that. So is there anything that you guys are going to change in your service model that you're thinking about doing differently?
Yeah. Well, so what had started happening before the stores were closed was a no-touch service. So it was all about, mirroring. So, you want to learn about concealer? Okay, here's some concealer. I will do it on me and show you how to do it on you. So I think that that's something that could continue on. I'm not exactly sure because we're still waiting for, what that looks like. MAC has always had a really high standard in terms of what that looks like through hygiene and testers and makeup brushes and, being sanitary and completely hygienic. So, we feel really good about that, but what are the new rules going to be? I think that that's one of the things that, we're all thinking about, right? So shopper habits, are people going to want to run out and hang out at the malls, or are they going to want to continue to shop online? Right. Are people going to want to get out to the restaurants and just do everything and go to every single event, or are they going to, be a little bit shy? So
I have a question that I can see a question in the chat.
Oh.
So from Ron, this is a question for you, Elise. So what makes the people who work in beauty so special? And how do you recruit for beauty versus other types of retail? It's an awesome question.
That is a fabulous question. One thing about MAC Cosmetics is that we're our credo is all ages, all races, all genders. So we're open to everybody. And if you love makeup and you have a skill and, just love what you do and you're passionate about it, I think that's what makes people in the beauty world special. Everyone's different as well. So I used to hear, I'm also a makeup artist actually. And I used to always get, or I'd hear different things from friends like, oh, I went into a MAC store and one girl told me this. And then I went into a different MAC store and they told me something completely different. And I've always had to explain to people that it's not that it's wrong or different. It's just someone's different point of view. So that's how I feel people in the beauty industry are special and different because we all have a different point of view and a different style and a different way to do makeup and teach and provide, service in that sense.
That's it. Yeah.
That answered your question.
It's a great question. Yeah. Because I might go to one MAC store and somebody say, wear this palette and then go into another one and it's perfectly fine and okay. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so it's I'm looking at time. We don't want to keep everybody too long, but is there any other questions or is there any questions you want to pick Elise's brain, my brain about? Now's the time to put some in the chat. Or you can unmute yourself and jump into the conversation. Totally fine too. Christine, what made a great event in MAC? What kind of marketing and education prep work do you do before hosting an event? And what was your biggest takeaway you had from your past experiences?
Oh my gosh, that's so much. I love it. Okay, first part of the question, will you say it again? Just tell me
a great event at MAC.
Well, I'm not sure if anyone experienced a MAC event before, but we have done some wild things, and we actually call it retailtainment because it's like entertainment in the retail world. So one time we had salsa dancers. One time at the Eaton Center, I did an event with men dressed in suits with dog masks on. Because what that did was it mirrored like this new collection that had come out, and it was all about how you pamper yourself just like you pamper your pet. And it was very cute and fun, but like at the Eaton Center, there's a no mask rule. So I got chased down by mall security being like, you can't have masks on. Meanwhile, there were like men handing out cookies to our customers and that were getting their makeup done. So there's been some really fun events and, drag queens, makeup, it's super fun.
So what the second part of that was, what kind of marketing and education prep work do you do before hosting an event?
Yeah, so all of our artists, we have an education team at MAC, and so all of our artists are always being trained and certified, so they always are up for anything. And usually an event is around a new collection launch. And so, we'll just work with the artists and give them tips and tricks on different looks that they want to create with the artists. So there's always an education piece happening in the background. And then before the event, it's really just, we talk about the product and the launch and sort of the story behind it, because there's always a story behind what our collections are.
Okay, I'm just going through the questions. So Solange, thanks Solange. What would you say is your biggest hurdle in your current job and how to overcome it?
Well, I think right now is a hurdle.
You're an event person, right?
Right. The city of Toronto just announced that, Pride was postponed. And then it's how to sort of keep interactive with your customers online and doing things like this. We have a whole community of makeup artists that we love to keep in touch with and inspire. We also work with influencers, so like YouTube stars and, Instagram makeup influencers, and it's just how to stay connected. So I think right now is a little bit of a hurdle. And then just the whole world, the whole beauty world, I think is, can be a hurdle because there's so many places to shop now, right? So you may have noticed like Shoppers Drug Mart has a huge beauty section now. Holt Renfrew just renovated and did a whole beauty floor. That's pretty fabulous. Sephora's in town, and it's just really sort of working your way through all of where people are shopping and how to keep them engaged. I think that's where our retail tainment comes from.
Retail tainment, I love it. I've never heard that before. I love that. Yeah. Okay, how to cope with a scenario post-COVID-19 era wherein people will tend to spend less time on all impulse purchases like cosmetics and fashion? That's a really good question. I mean, I think that my perspective right now, and I don't know, I think everybody on the line could probably relate to this, is you're kind of evaluating what's a necessity versus what you need. I wrote a blog post about it the other day because, the one thing I love about this is I get to live in my Lululemon leggings every day, right? So, which is, so now I'm like, okay, so do I need all this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, there's still things that I want. So I think it's like that brand loyalty or that experience is going to become so key. I think the purpose and the mission behind the brand is going to become so key. I think the people, how they connect, how they treat the customers. I think that was all the same before, but I think it's more conscious leadership that's going to be needed. And that's where I think when you read Calvin McDonald's post on LinkedIn, he wrote a conscious leadership post, and I think that's going to be important. I think that's what's going to keep them relevant, because when you read that post, you actually like him, you want to go and shop there. I have read so many comments on posts in the last week where I didn't shop with you before, but I'm going to now. So decisions are being made today on how you represent yourself in the brand that you work in today. And I think that's going to have a lasting effect. And I think that was something probably we weren't, I mean, Google reviews were always there, but now it's really like, who am I going to follow in terms of that? But yeah, I think it's going to come back to those impulse purchases. They're always going to be there because we're a society that we want something, it makes us feel good.
So I was just going to say, one thing that we do know about women and even men that wear makeup is sometimes when they want to make themselves feel better, just making a $24 lipstick purchase and having a brand new lip color is the way to feel good. And it's manageable, right? So, just trying a new lipstick color. I've been creating looks on my team calls. So, We have calls like this every day with our team, and I create a super fun look because I just want to be able to sort of, create some fun for my team and just have them look forward to like, what's Elise going to pop up on screen
I
with?
know, I've been watching your social media and every day she has a different look. Like it's a different makeup look, it's a wig, it's a
Yeah.
So cool. Like I
And
love
it's fun. But the other thing about, impulse purchases is makeup still does make us feel like who we are. So, you're wearing your yoga pants and that is your comfort. But today, being able to put my makeup on and get dressed up is my comfort. And I actually read an article the other day about how a woman is going from her living room or her bedroom to her living room into her makeshift office, but she's continuing to do a 10-minute makeup routine, self feel good. And she continues to use that as like a meditation to be like, I'm still me, I'm still wearing makeup, this is what I love, this is who I am. And so I feel like people will continue to give themselves that like self-care moment.
Yeah.
It includes makeup.
Yeah. Me and Deidre were talking about that earlier this morning, that self-care and all of that self-care that's going to become even more kind of important, right? Because we've all, okay, I've got to get some more questions because I'm looking at time. So we've got about 10 minutes left. I scheduled 45 minutes this time. Last time it was 30 minutes and then everybody was like, I wanted to ask more questions. So we scheduled it to about 3:15. So what are MAC core values? I always wondered why your artists at the MAC stand wear black. And that is from Sylvie.
So even at head office, we wear black. But what it is, it's all about being able to just wear black and focus right here. When we wear all black, you can see our faces better.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and I'm just scrolling down. Give me a second. Okay, Emmy, this is from Emmy. Hey, Emmy. What do you feel is critical communication tactics to communicate effectively to the store? That's a really good one, especially like I was in store operations for a long time and I had to communicate to 240 stores, and it's a challenge because there's so much information going. I think there's some really good technology out there now that can get, because if you think about the way we all consume, we consume bite size, like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, it's like feeds and it's all bite size. There's some really good technology out there that can help you do that in an organization. So like there's a few of them like Nudge Rewards, there's like Retail Zipline, there's like multimedia, there's like different technologies that can kind of bite size it to make sure that it goes like, like very small and like so that people can get it into the frontline employees, because I think that is such a hard thing in retail to be able to do. So I don't know, what do you feel is critical to be able to communicate tactics effectively to the stores? Because you work with the stores, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have departments that are that do that. So, I work in retail events, and so I don't need to specifically be communicating with our teams like at this moment. What I'm doing to stay connected with our artists is just through social media. So whenever they're going live to do their makeups, I always make sure that I want to tune in. I like their posts, and I just like really follow hashtags that they're using. But, our sales teams are really the ones that are continuing to communicate with their teams. So we in Canada are all sectioned into regions, and then everyone sort of has their own region, and they're continuing to communicate with them and having calls and, just making sure that they're safe and that they're taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
But talking about, what they look forward to when we do reopen the stores. And that just makes me feel so great that they're just all still so engaged and doing makeup and, that everyone continues to stay in communication.
And I think one thing we might learn from this whole experience, which people could probably take back to operations, that we've all become remote, right? And we've all learned very quickly how to do this. get on a video conference chat. And I think in retail, when I was in sales and operations, we used to have this weekly conference call, and you knew people were not listening, and you knew people were doing tasks and workload while they were listening to the call. And then you go into the store and you're like, oh my God, well, we talked about that on the call this week. So I think this way of communicating is great because you can make sure people are participating and they connect more. So I think we can take this away and take it back, because now everybody's set up on this. Like, the concern before was like, oh, I don't want to ask them to do it on their personal device, or we don't have the capacity to do that in our store because it won't work on the register, whatever those solutions were. But now everybody's kind of like you were talking about, like, don't worry about it. We'll get in touch with them on their social media. Like, they want to talk to us that way. I learned that at David's Tea because I introduced an app on everybody's cell phone, and it was not required. It was an adoption app, and everybody, we had 95% adoption at every level. And everybody, I could get on that app like an Instagram and do a video and say, hey, we're changing a promo, and it got to 2,500 employees within 10 seconds. So
Amazing.
Right? So video is very powerful when it comes to communicating to stores. So I think that's a good one. Okay, let me just see.
Can we just go back to Sylvie's question, Elise? She just wants to know what are Mac's core values.
Okay.
Our core values, well, so I mentioned before that our credo is all ages, all races, all genders. And we really stick by that in terms of anyone that wants to come into MAC and do makeup and try on makeup. We have a lipstick called Viva Glam, and 100% of the proceeds go to the Viva Glam Fund. And we just actually made an announcement that we are donating 10 million US dollars globally to different organizations to help fund with any COVID-19 relief. So I think that there's so many core values from the company. So Estee Lauder is the parent company. And, you know, they're just really a family-focused business. I've actually worked with the company for almost 16 years. So April 15th will be my Mac-anniversary.
Wow.
And yeah, and I think one of the things is that it's such a fabulous company to work for because they have so many, you know, values and different things that they believe in, and I believe in them too.
So I'm just seeing another one. Emmy, I love that. Yay, black. If you have not followed Emmy DeVoe's brand on Instagram, you should, because it's an amazing brand. Like, her product's awesome. The whole concept is awesome. And you sell a lot of black. It's all black and white, right? And a little bit of gray.
You're my kind of girl, Emmy.
I love it. Okay, there's one more question. Hold on. Okay, Christine. Hey, Christine. Not you, different Christine. Okay, the shopping trend in China post-closure is actually very positive because people had been tired staying at home, and lots of brands, especially makeup, fashion, etc., had been focused on building brand awareness for new items, which is true, yeah, and brand loyalty. What they had contributed to the communities during closure. Very good. Consumer buying power may be lesser in North America because we may not be as strong with our money. However, emotionally, our consumers still have lots of needs to be filled. It's a really good perspective, isn't it? I think I talked about that I think in a blog post, like, again, your personal brand. A lot of you work for brands, some of you don't, some of you have your own business. Some of you, you know, will go back to the brand that you were with before, but your personal brand and how you show up right now is going to actually instill those thoughts as well in whoever's coming back to shop. You know, like, somebody emails me, I answer them. I talked about this on the LinkedIn one last week about LinkedIn etiquette. Somebody emails me, I answer them. You know why? Because I have to represent my brand, you know, as a person that cares, and I do. So it's just those small things, but that's a very good perspective, Christine. So thanks for that. Okay. It's true that after both world wars, the economy soared after months and years of deprivation. Yeah, totally. I totally see that. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Jane, is there any other questions that we missed? I know you're reading them. No, we're good. All right. So we're at 3:11, which is awesome, because we wanted it to be like a little 45-minute coffee chat in the middle of your day. So if you were going to say, I don't know, one word of wisdom, a word of inspiration for everybody on the phone. I know when we talked, you were like, yeah, we're all connected by our love of retail. And I'm like, I love that. It's like we're all in this together. What would you say?
Well, I mean, I love this community already, so I hope that we can all be new besties. I love the world of retail because I love good customer service. I think that's something that has just always been instilled in me. And it just comes out in retail, right? So like the question before was, did I choose retail or did it choose me? And it chose me. But it comes from my love of great customer service, right? Like you're going out and you're going to spend your money somewhere and you want a good experience, right? Like we all are, well, not all, but I think a lot of us are very quick to talk about the negative experiences that we receive in the world of retail, but what about the good ones? And so I just think that having a community like this to all come together and just like chat and talk about experiences is so wonderful. So I can't wait to continue to join all your coffee chats. I hope I get to talk to everyone and be able to ask my own questions because I think it's really cool that we're kind of all in the same world and we're all going to go through the same things, especially right now, and what that looks like for the future. And to all come together and help each other is like full of so much love and like it just feels really good. So congrats to all of you for, you know, continuing to, yes, exactly, show your hearts and, you know, continue to be the frontline workers. Like, you know, April, you had said it before, retail workers are essential workers. And I love that so much. And I've been thinking about that a lot because I think that, you know, being able to service people and to give them this really great experience as we come out of this new world will be very interesting. So I just hope everyone stays positive and I can't wait to hang out with all of you more.
I know, I'm thinking already, like maybe we should have a panel, like, you know, a panel, not just me and you, but like 4 people talking about things.
Yeah.
Right? Jane's like, okay. Another idea. That's funny. All right, awesome. Well, my thing is, if I was going to leave you guys with anything, is stay positive. I'm probably the most optimistic person you'll ever meet, and sometimes that's a blind spot, but right now it's working for me pretty well, so I'm pretty happy about it. And stay connected. And I know some of you that were on last week got connected on LinkedIn afterwards, so I appreciate you all. Stay positive, stay inspired, do something every day to get your mindset in that right space, because this is gonna end and we're gonna come back stronger than ever, and we will have made new retail friendships along the way, just virtually across the globe. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and thanks April so much for doing this. I'm like craving attention. Right? I'm home alone, I'm single, no kids, no pets. So it's really fun to see other people and be able to talk to other people. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Awesome. All right, guys. See you next week, maybe, hopefully, and have a great rest of your week and be safe out there. All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.